Hola, vamos a aprender sobre lección 12 de unidad 1. La última lección de unidad 1 es sobre saber y conocer y los demostrativos. All right, so first off, we're going to talk about Saber and Conocer, and we're going to look at the charts. They're charts. They have irregular yo forms. Everything else is normal about them. So you'll see here the yo form for Saber is se with an accent. And for conocer, the yo form is conozco, one of my favorite yo forms. Everything else about them, however, is normal. All right, now what about saber versus conocer? So with these two, how do we tell them apart from each other when to use saber, when to use conocer? So saber is to know a fact or pieces of information or to know how to do something. So the key to remember for saber is facts or information. You also have falling under that, saber que, to know that. Anytime something is to know that something, it's going to be saber. So for example, I know that his name is Juan. Yo sé que su nombre es Juan. If you look at that closely, really knowing his name is Juan is really a piece of information. It does fall under the facts or information. Or they know he can run. Ellos saben que él puede correr. One thing to take note of is the that in English is often left out. And it's just kind of invisible. In Spanish, it needs to be there. So you got to watch out for the invisible that's in English. I won't always provide them. I won't always write them. This is something that can kind of catch you. One thing I usually look for is if you have a subject verb and then another subject verb, nothing really linking them. It's often an invisible that. And it needs to be there then in Spanish. Also, we get what's saber plus infinitive. And this happens when you're talking about knowing how to do something. So simply to do this, simply add infinitive after the conjugated verb saber. You're not going to add the word como. So the word how is in Spanish is not going to translate in these. So we know how to read is sabemos leer, or nosotros sabemos leer. Or my brother doesn't know how to speak Spanish. Mi hermano no sabe hablar español. And conocer, on the flip side, is to know or be familiar or acquainted with a person, place, or thing. And the key with this is this idea of familiarity. And then also, just a reminder, you're going to need the personal with a direct object of a person or a pet. And this often happens with conocer. So for example, you would be knowing and being familiar with a place. Do you know New York City? ¿Conoces la ciudad de Nueva York? Or I don't know your friend Esteban. No conozco a tu amigo Esteban. There you'll see there is the personal in there before tu amigo Esteban. All right, a few other verbs. You have parecer, which means to seem, and ofrecer, which means to offer. And these are conjugated like conocer. So you're going to have yo forms of parezco and ofrezco. Everything else about them is normal ER verb conjugations. And then we have the verbs conducir, to drive, and traducir, to translate. And these ones are going to conjugate like conocer in that they're going to have yo forms similar to conocer, but they are IR verbs. So the rest of the conjugations would be like an IR verb, not an ER verb, which there's a few differences in especially the nosotros and vosotros forms. So your yo forms respectively for these would be conduzco and traduzco. All right, now we're going to switch over to demonstratives. So these are going to be used to demonstrate or point out. And there are two types. You've got the adjectives and you've got pronouns. Adjectives are going to be used to describe the noun, and they're going to be placed before. They're going to agree in gender and number. So for example, esta camisa, ese vendedor, aquellos sombreros. We'll have a chart here in a minute where you'll see that, but the esta, and the ese, and the aquellos, those are going to be examples of demonstrative adjectives. And you'll see perhaps that they do match in gender and number with those nouns that they work with. A pronoun, on the other hand, will replace a noun, but have the same function of demonstrating or pointing out. They're going to match gender number with the noun they replace. So instead of with the noun they come before, this is going to be with the noun they replace, which makes them a pronoun. Now, one thing to note, according to some grammarians, the pronoun needs an accent written over the E's of the pronouns, like this: este es rojo, aquellas son hermosas. That is going away. It's becoming less and less frequent. I'm not mandating that you need an accent over it. It's just there to tell written the difference between the adjective and the pronoun. But how it's said the exact same way. So many Spanish speakers and writers are going away from the accent. All right, so here is our chart for demonstratives. It's kind of a complicated, different looking chart, but really what I want you to focus on is each line. So you've got the this, these, you've got the that, those, and the that, those over there. So the this and these, the this is going to be either este or esta. The these is going to be either estos or estas. The that is going to be either ese or esa. The those is going to be either esos or esas. And finally, that over there would be either aquel or aquella. Those over there would either be aquellos or aquellas. I like to break these down into nearness to the speaker. So these are going to be used when the item is fairly close to the speaker, kind of within arm's reach. The that or those would be for items that are far, as in not within arm's reach, but they're still within plain sight. The that or those over there, those are going to be in reference to things that are not just far, but far away. I imagine things you almost have to squint at. They're a ways away. And in our English sentences, often we will say it something like this: those shoes over there. In Spanish, the those and the over there all is wrapped up into this one adjective or pronoun: aquel, aquella, aquellos, or aquellas. Now, they do happen to have a couple of gender-neutral pronouns or adjectives, or just pronouns. These won't show up with adjectives because you're never going to have a noun in there if you don't know what it is. These are gender-neutral pronouns, and very rarely in Spanish do you ever reference anything as gender-neutral. Most of the time, it's like default masculine. If it's a group and you don't know which to go with, you default masculine. However, in this case, they do provide an option for if you don't know what the gender of a thing is. And that really happens with phrases like, what is this, right? Clearly, if you have no idea what it is and you're asking that question, you wouldn't know the gender of that item and therefore would not be able to match with it. In which case you would say, ¿qué es esto? Or might be used in a phrase like, that is amazing. Right? And that is just kind of a general experience or something like that. They would use like eso in that case. All right, so we're going to do a few practice sentences here. Inténtelo means try it. So here are some sentences that I would like for you to try to translate. I sell that frog. He desires to buy these pants. Luis and Marco should see that shirt over there. Those men are really angry. I'm going to buy that, referencing a cow. Rose and Clara are loaning those, referencing sunglasses. Until, which is the word hasta. I see those shorts over there, which shorts is going to be pantalones cortos. It's not in our vocab specifically this year. But the word pants is pantalones. The adjective short is corto. So pantalones cortos will be translated shorts. So until I see those shorts over there, I am not going to buy these, referencing shorts. This bathing suit is ugly. So I'd pause the video a second while you write down your translations. And then I'll restart it once you are done. And I'll put up the answers. All right, so here are our answers for number 1. You have yo vendo esa rana. Número 2, you have él desea comprar estos pantalones. Número 3, Luis y Marco deben ver aquella camisa. Número 4, ellos hombres Sorry, esos hombres están muy enojados. Número 5, voy a comprar esa. Número 6, Rose y Clara prestan esas. Número 7, hasta veo aquellos pantalones cortos, no voy a comprar estos. Número 8, este traje de baño es feo. El fin.